and welcome to Friday Night Lights, the one we have officially reached the halfway point in the regular season here in the state of Minnesota. That's crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Only week 4, but the math would be on par in my book, unfortunately. Thanks for joining us. I'm Alexis Bastien. Thank the Lord the rain held off tonight.
Held off just a little bit, Baz. The undefeated Hermantown Hawks took the flight up I-35 tonight to head to the land of the Lumberjacks in Cloquet. So that's where we start. We had fog, we had some downpours, but hey, still a beautiful night for some football. Hermantown knocking on that door early. First drive capped off by star running back Martin Sleen from 6 yards out.
Sleen.
Hawks go up 7-0, but the Lumberjacks were ready to swing that axe right back. And sophomore fullback Jack Horvat getting the first down and then some bullying guys out of the way with a couple of nice stiff arms. Get off me. He takes the rock 55 yards for the score. Cloquet answers right back, ties the game up at 7. But then Martin Sleen said, you know what? I took that personally. The very next play from scrimmage, and the junior speedster takes it 60 yards through the fog, through the crib, untouched. Hawks reclaim that lead at 14-7. And if you thought that was the end of Mr. Sleen, the running machine, then you were wrong. He scores his 3rd touchdown of the first half, stretches out that Hawks lead to 21-7. Sleen would end up with 6 touchdowns on the night. All 41 points for Hermantown. They remain perfect at 4-0 with a 20-point win over Cloquet.
Geez, make it a dozen next week, Mr. Sleen. Now to a game that looked to be one-sided on paper, but they don't play games on paper. 3-0 Pequot Lakes and the winless Denfeld Hunters. Some trickery from the Patriots. Sutton Sullivan takes the reverse, but has nowhere to go. He is taken down for the safety to give the Hunters a 2-0 early lead. After a quick drive down the field, it's Jack King III up the middle for surprisingly just the 2nd Denfeld touchdown of the season. But it wouldn't take long for Pequot to punch pay dirt. Junior Tabe Magnuson powers on through 17 yards for the score. After a bad kick return, Denfeld backed up, and they could not get it out of their own end zone. A gang of Patriots surprising them with a victory cry as we see our second safety dance of the ball game. With just over 5 minutes left in the half, Pequot Lakes continues to dominate on the ground. This time it's Noah Stewart stretching over the goal line. Denfeld down 8 last drive of the half. It's Lee Brooks showing off the pocket mobility, buying time as he eyes a wide open Keely Don Thomas from 29 yards out after trading scores in the second half. Pequot Lakes, Birkeland would nail a last-minute 38-yard field goal as in tradition, Patriots kickers grant them the 27-24 win. Tipping Blue Jackets took a trip to Proctor and rolled to a 36-0 win. The Rockridge Wolverines fell to North Branch Vikings 44-6. Meanwhile, the Thunderhawks of Denfeld took their home field with a 48-point win over Duluth East.
Meanwhile, the Barnum Bombers taking down Deer River by just 2 points tonight, 18-16. The Moose Lake Willow River Rebels picking up a big road win over the Jaguars. Meanwhile, Esco dominating on their home turf, taking down Mora in shutout fashion, 50-0. The International Falls Broncos losing a close one to the Aitkin Gobblers, 34-27. The 2 Harbors Agates taking home a win in an old-school defensive battle, 7-0. I love that. And the MIB Rangers taking care of business tonight as well, picking up the shutout, 52-0.
Some more shutouts, but don't worry.